Yes, sir.
Right. Okay. This is a call to order for the October Historic Preservation Commission meeting. It's Wednesday, October 1st, 6 p.m. Can I get a roll call, please?
Chairman Evan Goodman,
Here?
Vice Chairman Joe Paul,
Here.
Commissioner Shirley Frazier,
Here.
Commissioner Jim Hess,
Here.
Commissioner Tim Probst,
Here.
Commissioner Debbie Wonder, Commissioner Lisa Solka. Here.
Okay. Notice regarding adjournment. The Historic Preservation Commission will not hear new items after 9:30 p.m. unless authorized by a majority vote of the commission members present. Items which had not been heard before 9:30 p.m. may be continued to their next regular meeting or special meeting date as determined by the commission members. We're going to look for an adoption of the minutes.
I move you approve.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, the minutes are approved. Do we have any public comment?
No, no.
Okay. We're gonna go to old business, which is 36.
Good evening. The first item this evening is 36 4th Street, and this was an item that the commission heard back on August 6th. It was tabled by the applicant because there were a number of concerns, and that tabled period of time allowed the applicant to respond to those concerns. This is for the construction of a two-story carriage house of approximately 2,600 square feet. And it is, again, located at 36 4th Street in the Neighborhood General Historic District. And here you see a photo. The carriage house will be in this approximate location here, where you see these two trees. Here is the site plan, location in blue. This was the previous iteration of the carriage house next to the main house. There was concern that the carriage house was a bit too tall. It has been lowered 2 feet. And here you can see the difference. And what I'd like to do is go through each elevation and just to identify what the changes were that have been made. The eaves were a little bit too long or wide. They have been reduced. They went from 2 feet to 1 foot 4 inches. The floor height was reduced for the first floor down to 9 feet. It was previously 10. And the columns or the posts were made a bit wider. They were previously 6 inches. They are now 8. A couple of concerns with this elevation. We still have the columns are a bit too far apart. They can't be farther apart than they are tall. The width from on center, or not the width, but the distance from on center as measured on center is a bit more than 12 feet, and the posts or the columns are about 9 feet. So that will need to be addressed. And also, it was a bit unclear what's going on with the foundation. From this view, it appears that there's an 8-inch porch foundation, but when you look at the other elevations, that foundation does not show for the porch. And so we need to get that clarified. On this elevation, the south or the left elevation, there were 2 windows added to the second floor. Previously, there were none. And then the band was made wider to distinguish the first and second floors. The north elevation is the same as it was previously. There are no windows that have been added. The rear elevation has some corrections as well. The band, the expression line is wider again, that carries around, and then the window height here between the shed roof was a little bit more distant, and that has also been corrected and looks more appropriate. Here are the floor plans if you need to see them, the sections and details. Regarding the review criteria, there are 4 that have to be considered in the review, and there is consistency. There are a few things here that would need to be corrected for all of these criteria to be met. And the findings of staff are the following 3: that the porch foundation needs to be corrected, Design the porch columns to be no farther apart than they are tall, and to make certain that the columns do not overhang the porch foundation. Provide a window and door schedule on the plan, and then to also show that there needs to be a minimum of 75% tree canopy coverage at maturity. When we met back in August, there was some concern about some trees being removed, and we did receive an arborist report. There is a 40-inch laurel oak that has been identified as having potentially some signs of canker as well as crown dieback. So I have received that letter from the arborist and can share that with you if you'd like. With that, you can either approve the staff report or the application as submitted by the applicant, approve with conditions, or deny the application as submitted. And here's a suggested motion, and I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Thank you, Charlotte. Are there any questions for staff?
Are we also not missing several details, like a section through the porch and this detailed section of the service yard and the stair and handrail and things like that as well? There was
I
detail
do not, sorry.
I didn't know if that was maybe in the previous submission.
With your, you are correct. Sorry, I don't have that in front of me. I meant to get a printout. Go to the drawings just to double check myself. And I did not overlook inserting them into. You're correct, they were not submitted with the drawings.
What was the distance between the columns and then the height? How far off were they?
It's a little more than, so the columns are 9 feet 3 inches. The columns are approximately 12 feet apart.
It's pretty far off.
Yeah. Is the, well, are there any other questions for staff before we ask if the applicant?
Maybe a
Sure.
question. I mean, we got them to lower it. I'm new, so I'm a little confused why columns have to be less apart than they are tall, but I'm gonna learn that. But I see the carriage house, and I don't know if this is for you or the applicant, Charlotte, but I don't know how you make that difference when we ask them to lower the whole entire structure by so many feet. Somewhere that seems like the height and the width are gonna change, so I don't know how we address that on a carriage house. I get it on a front elevation, but personally, doesn't bother me so much on the back when we've asked them to lower it almost 2+ feet. So somewhere, something's gonna be wider and something's gonna be shorter. So I just wasn't sure how we address the space between the height of the column, other than to do a duplicate column right by it, and then that kind of looks a little, to me, that doesn't make sense to me. And I have a neighbor that did that, probably because of this same requirement. It just looks odd. So I don't know if that's a question or a comment for a commission to think about.
It seems like a comment, but you certainly have the ability to approve it as shown, if you believe it looks appropriate.
Some of it is, and this is just conjecture, I guess, or comments in addition to, some of it is historically we would typically have a more vertical proportion between the columns, just from a physics standpoint when they're building this out of timber. The porch portion or the overhang above the garage doors and the windows, typically we would not see the roof overshoot the house. So that's a little odd, and that's been kind of problematic in the previous iterations. Usually that would die into the second floor above, so that you don't have sort of a just kind of hanging out eave on that overhang, which was, again, that sort of where it's continuing from the the main gable into that overhang. That's not really typical. Usually we'd like to see an outside corner where it then turns the corner and goes to the overhang. It's either open or a different material or the same material but set back. So that's part of why the
Yeah, I agree
proportions are a
with
little
that.
off.
I mean, I think the proportions, yeah, I mean, you're gonna have, it's gonna be wider because of the garage door, right?
Yeah.
That's driving, you're always gonna have that. I mean, I think it would help if those columns moved in maybe 8 inches and had the overhang just die into that completely, the overhang being 8 inches.
Yeah.
I think that, I mean, I could live with that.
Are we, if we're just launching into discussion on this, we have allowed exceptions for carports and garages in the past, but we've been pretty specific about requiring that, because it's so specific in the rules and it's something everybody deals with and could easily be addressed. Shifting windows and things, it's something we've required where it's not at the garage door or carport opening, and they could add a column and knock that out pretty simply, but people deal with that on every project that comes before us, and it's been pretty consistently applied.
So the solution is an additional column?
Yeah, you might have to rethink the windows in the background, but
Okay.
To make sure they're
that's
centered.
been something. I mean, it's pretty specific in the UDO, and it's been something that's been enforced in my experience pretty consistently.
I mean, I guess the issue is the garage door though, right? I mean, it's.
Yeah, we've allowed.
It's gonna be wider, the garage door is
8 feet.
We've allowed.
8 feet or is it 9 foot?
9 typically, but this looks like it's might be 8.
I mean, it doesn't look like there's a foot from between the edge of that.
Yeah, we've allowed determination that that's okay at
Yeah.
Yeah,
It just,
garage
we
doors
have
and
something
carports.
here, just,
Yeah, that might be all center, which would be good.
Other questions for staff before we talk to the applicant or go into more discussion? Okay, is the applicant here to present?
Yes, he is.
Hello again.
Hey, welcome.
So the columns on the front,
Sorry, your name, please.
I'm sorry, Jamie Gusho, applicant for Tim Harris and Kathy Barbina, 36 4th Street. Obviously, you know why it's spaced like that because of the garage door and everything. I just heard that. So I don't really know what the solution would be to it. It's going to make it look funky if we add another column and try to do that. So
I mean, it's a pretty typical move for if you need a wider opening for something to have a wider column bay, like a front door or something like that.
it's a 9
Narrower
foot. It's a
column
9
bays
foot
next to
garage door.
Right.
So I mean,
Yeah. I mean, I think it
Little bit.
sounds like we're willing to give
with
exception
that.
at the garage door, but would like to see it comply otherwise.
Which is.
Something that his UDO has done, or the HPC
for
has
another
done
column in
the past.
between the 3 windows.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you might rethink that area. But, you know, it's in the UDO, it's something everybody, all submissions that come before us really address. And everybody gets that comment.
Right.
And it's been made a couple of times.
So you want another column in between that middle window is basically what you're looking for?
Yeah, and you can respace windows and stuff. But I mean, it's pretty clearly, I mean, you know, there's more people on this board, but it's in the UDO. If you were reading the UDO before you designed this, you would say, hey, I should address that.
We thought we did with lowering the home, increasing the size of the columns to kind of make it look more substantial, obviously.
Yeah. That
We
addresses.
can maybe get them in a little bit more on, especially in between the windows.
Are you not, is there gonna be like a pavement, like, or foundation underneath that roof? Cause it looks like on the drawings, there's just nothing.
It'll be,
Point straight.
it's
It'll be
driveway.
all the way, cause that's the
And
question.
it's not an 8-inch tall, it's, I mean, just regular
Yeah.
driveway.
what is the space we're lacking? Why, how much further longer are we taller?
Can you go to the floor?
About 3 feet,
3
about
feet.
3 feet.
Is it
So
really
it's
12
3
feet? It doesn't
feet
look
more
like it's 12 feet.
space.
The dimension between the center lines of the column and the height from the bottom of the column to the top of the column at the bottom of the beam.
No, please look. Look. I'll share.
Can you go to the floor plan on that? Is it really 12 feet?
Hang on.
It's 12 feet 6, so it's 3.5 feet.
It's 12 feet. Is it center line or is it the edge of
But
the
it's
column?
center line to center line on the columns.
Was this the same issue before we asked them to lower it?
It was identified, yes.
Yeah, it would have been.
It just got worse.
It just got worse.
I mean,
because-
But, I mean,
because
but
lowering
the
it's
solution,
not
the solution is exactly the same. If we allow them the spacing at the garage, the solution and the spacing at the office is the same. Unless they raised it another 2 feet, which
Well,
we
they're
would.
not, yeah, I mean,
So-
did they lower, I mean, my issue is gonna be off-centered. I mean, we're gonna have a space that's not conforming no matter what with that garage door.
Yeah, and we have allowed that on carports in the past. So that, to me, I mean, we've considered that a couple of times. I'm okay with that exception, but everybody, I mean, even on the side bay, it's been enforced for years on the side. Katie Peterson was enforcing it on the side bays. So if your porch was deeper than it was tall,
Oh, I get
you had to
it.
come up with
But
a
I mean,
solution.
again, maybe this is the first time I've come through a garage door. I don't remember. I think you're always gonna have that garage door. It's gonna be wider. We never want those roofs to be. I mean, this is the first issue that I've seen it like this.
So you just add a column in the center and you could move some windows around and it's, in the bay on the side, you have an A, B, B scheme.
It's
in
gonna be
the-
off-center though.
I mean, or
Why would it be
instead of, instead of, instead of having the roof overshoot the side of the house, which is atypical in historical precedents.
I mean, that's typical for a barn structure. There's a lot of barn structures like
Yeah,
that.
but it's not a story. I mean, the roof should
not.
die. I mean, that's what bothers me the most.
Die into it, yeah.
I
Could you,
think that should come in and then.
I'd rather see a bracketed roof. I mean, does it need to be a covered, it's not,
Are we redesigning this house or like?
I don't need,
Well-
we don't need a design. I'm just saying that it's a rule that's been applied a lot. We've mentioned it, I think, a couple of times through this process.
and we're just trying to give input that would make it look like it actually would have been historically accurate versus.
Yeah.
You're saying delete this overhang here
We're saying, I mean,
on the roof line is what I mean.
what I would say is that column and that roof would go in 8 inches. So you break that wall. So there's an outside corner there. And that roof would die into that wall. You don't really typically see it
No.
overshoot the structure, because then you're gonna see the back of that. Yeah, it's never good to see the back of that. So typically, that porch would be in. You would have an outside corner. And, those overhangs, it's still, for that lower roof, those overhangs would be probably 8 inches, so, I mean,
Yeah.
it would be in 8
That would
inches. and
let it
would
die into
the
it.
corner there.
Not an architect, but wonder if you double the columns on both sides on that. Does that get you the space between
Double them in between, on each side of the windows, you mean?
side of the windows?
But then would you,
I don't have a problem with it
I
personally.
don't need.
So, but I'm not an architect,
Right,
but I
right.
think sometimes we need to use some common sense. You cannot do anything to that garage because the people have to get in their garage.
Right.
Putting a column in front of a window, to me, 3 columns in a space and a column looks odd to me. If this was the main house, I'd be really super focused on it, but it's a carriage house behind. But again, these guys are more focused on the code.
I mean, maybe it's moving those columns on the sides inward and doubling the columns in the middle. So then that gives you if you can get 9 feet out of there.
I mean, I'm all right, if you guys want to say this is a secondary structure and the equal column spacing makes sense in this space, in this place, because we would give deference to the garage door. I'm just, from where I'm coming from, this is always a discussion, it's always a pain, and I'm just saying, you know, there's some consideration for being even on that, but if you guys think that in this case that's not appropriate, I mean, I think the design looks fine. It just, that rule comes up a lot. and
Well,
it's
I mean,
always
would you
pain.
guys be opposed to having a double column in the middle? Give you the 9 feet, move the columns to the inside, then your spacing is 9 feet. So they're still centered on the garage doors and centered on the windows.
To move the left one in,
Move both columns, both ends in.
Double
Yeah.
that one.
but move both
move
ends
the-
in
I don't
slightly.
know how you move
Yeah.
that.
Then you get,
No,
then everything's still centered. The
Yeah.
columns are just moved in on
Yeah.
the windows and the garage doors.
I would be okay with that.
That would give more than 9 feet width.
And you're coming into it, so it's not like you're having to turn. I mean, I worry about the columns in cars, but
I mean, it's
you're
9
coming
foot, yeah.
straight in. You're not having to curve to get in the garage. I mean, that abides by the code.
That would get you the equal, I mean, at least the equal 9
Yeah.
foot. Or close enough, I mean, maybe off by an inch or so, but.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. Does that make,
Double the columns,
Just on one
Just
of
double
them,
columns in the
in
center,
the center.
just double in the center,
right, and then move the other columns.
move them further apart, that way it's,
So everything's
Yeah,
still,
yeah.
so the columns are still, the door's still centered on the columns,
I didn't-
it's still centered on the windows. You still have that symmetry, and then the roof comes in, so it's not overshooting.
that makes sense?
Put it together and like look at it and see how appearance look. It just sounds like we're doing something we didn't know to me, but that's just my opinion.
Did you wanna go out?
I think you'd want us to approve this with a condition, not bring it back, because I'm sure
Correct.
you're very frustrated.
we've been around on this for a while.
It is definitely an amendment I would ask us to look at down the road one day on these crazy things. But,
I mean,
you can't thicken those columns because the front of the house
Then
has
it's gonna look all, it's gonna look,
look odd, and it's just one of those rare kind of what to do's.
and the intention from a historical standpoint is, you know, houses that were built in a period where they would be deemed a historical structure for the town of Bluffton. You would not have an overhang overshoot the house because it's not practical to have a rafter sitting there that is only,
we also
It's
wouldn't
only
have, we
sistered
wouldn't have
on
a
with
garage
some-
door either.
sorry, was only sistered on with blocking. It kind of doesn't make sense. So that's what we're trying to get around, is just making it make practical sense for what it would have been in historically, since it's a historic district. I'm sorry, you were saying?
I said there wouldn't be a garage door in historic.
Exactly,
area
yeah.
Anyway, but there are many here that you see.
There are many, but the idea is to have a historical precedent and then figure out how to make it work. So I think what we've talked about makes sense to me, from double column, moving the columns in so it has a better proportion. Personally, I'd just do brackets and call it a day because it gets rid of all of it, but
You kind of lose that portion of view brackets.
yeah.
I mean, that's an option, but you lose the portion.
So do brackets instead of adding a second column?
That was a thought on,
You can't do that, but brackets, you're gonna,
And it's not gonna look the same as the house anyway, because the house doesn't have brackets on it.
yeah.
We're trying to keep that look the same property.
I think the double column would be the least cost associated with it. If it's just in the center, we're abiding by the code.
To get it closer to the height distance.
It's a very symmetrical house, so I think it keeps that, or not house, but carriage house, it keeps that symmetry. I mean, that window's centered, and at least that elevation is pretty symmetrical.
So just double the column in the middle
And move the columns
and move the
in.
columns in.
So,
and move the two on the end in.
Yeah.
right, so the.
Once we take that roof line off anyway, the columns will come in regardless.
Right, the columns are gonna come in and it dies in. So you still wanna keep the windows and the garage doors centered on those columns. So that's the object. So move the double columns out so they're in the same dimension. And we try to get as close to 9 feet as possible.
Yes.
That's right.
Okay. Other comments, questions for the applicant?
I mean, just the detailing, can you go to the wall section on it? Just a couple questions on that. Okay, so right there. So if you look at what's the material of this soffit? I know it's exposed, but what's the actual material that you're gonna see on top of the rafters? It doesn't say what it is.
The exposed rafters are treated.
Now, I'm not talking about the rafters. If you look up on the rafters, what's the material? Is it T111? I mean, it's not listed what that is.
Oh, I know what you mean. Yeah, that'd be T111 or beadboard.
Is T111 allowed?
Plywood soffits aren't allowed.
So it'd have to be,
Beaded.
and then there's gonna be a fascia piece on top of that, so we need to.
Yeah, more than likely it'd be a 1x4.
And then if we go to the garage was the biggest question, they're missing that detail. But go back, that section, you have a section that you don't detail. So again, I think we need to detail of what that header is gonna be, what the ceiling is gonna be underneath that porch. That's kind of called out, right? It's obviously it's wrapped. What's the ceiling in it? Is that beadboard to match? I mean, just need just a section of that. I mean, that house, I appreciate that you put the house next to it. It's good seeing it in scale. I appreciate, all the work bringing that down. I think it looks much better. And seeing the house next to this is very helpful. So appreciate all that.
Is the intent that that porch detailing matches what's at the house?
Correct. And when we started this whole process, we uploaded pictures and everything that way you can see the
Yeah,
elevation of the front of the house.
So if we get details of that to show staff if they're gonna be the ones to approve it.
Yeah, we can take pictures of the front of the main house ceiling as well, the porch ceiling, and just match that also for that requirement.
Yeah, I think we're looking for, the submission requirements on that checklist are architectural, like 1-inch details like that one you've got for everything, so that there's a recorded documentation of what like the service yard design is and things like that.
Yeah, the service yard is gonna match the house as well, 5/4 hog fence.
Okay. I think it just needs to be recorded in,
Yeah, I think
some
it's
construction
detailed that.
details, so that when everybody's out in the field, there's some understanding what it is.
That makes sense? Okay.
But I think we can formulate a motion around the idea that it matches the house.
Any other questions for the applicant? Are there any other staff comments that we needed to address or review?
Do you need to talk about the porch, the foundation there? It's not clear.
So I guess what he was saying was that's just showing like the slope of it going up.
Exactly. So it's,
But it's only gonna slope at the garage door, so on the left side, it would be what?
it's basically a stoop for the front, for the door, entrance door.
Is it gravel or cement?
It'll be cement.
Okay. So if that could just be shown on the elevation or called out. Okay.
Yeah, because that section looks like it's just in the ground, just buried in the ground, no porch, that post.
Yeah, there's no material shown. Okay, does everyone feel okay with the comments that we've made that we'll add into the motion that it's viewable at staff level?
Yes.
Okay. Then would someone like to make a motion?
Take notes on those items? Okay. I will motion to approve the submission with the staff recommendations, 1, 2, and 3 as shown on the screen. And also that the spacing of the porch columns be modified to comply with the UDO by doubling columns in the center of the bay and moving the outside columns in and recentering the windows and doors in those bays, and then providing details for the, construction details for the porch and eave and beam and foundation, and the service yard and the stair and handrail. And also that the bearing for, the lower bearing for the main roof be indicated on the plan, because it's not shown in sections.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Motion is passed. Thank you. Next up, we have new business, COFA for 5 Lawton Street.
Ready. The applicant, Ansley Manuel of Manuel Studio, who is representing the property owner, James W. Jeffcoat, Revocable Trust, is seeking approval to allow the construction of a new 2-story commercial carriage house of approximately 1,180 square feet. The property is located at 5 Lawton Street in the Neighborhood Center Historic District. There's a location and zoning map. Here is the site plan. You may recall that earlier this year in the summer, you approved, commission approved the demolition of a shed in the rear yard of the business known as Eccentricities. In that same space is the proposed carriage house. The development plan was previously approved by the Planning Commission, so the landscape and the lighting details were addressed with that plan. We are looking simply at the design tonight. Here is that space that you see in the rear of the Eccentricities business. Here is the slab area where the carriage house will be constructed, and then the property in the rear here to the north. Here's the front elevation. The featured materials are standing seam metal roof, hardy lap siding, variety of pressure-treated wood columns and trim, as well as the screening for the service yard. There are louvers that you see here at the ground floor. Behind that is the staircase to the second floor. These businesses will not, there will be no interior staircase to that second floor. The right elevation, the applicant did provide recently the shutter dog configuration, traditional style. Here is the left elevation, the rear yard elevation, floor plans, as well as the sections. And I noted while I was preparing the PowerPoint that the cove molding has been identified as PVC, which is not a permitted material. So the commission would need to make a determination whether or not that is appropriate. The review criteria, if the conditions are met, the review criteria will also be met. These are the findings of staff. Simply, everything appeared to be met architecturally. We do require that a site feature permit be permitted or submitted rather for any future signage for the businesses. And then additionally, there need to be a couple of determinations made, whether or not the window proportions on the rear elevation or the east elevation rather are appropriate, and whether or not PVC is an appropriate material for the cove molding. And let me go back to that elevation with the windows. You can see here, proportionally, they do seem a bit small for that elevation. And I do have the floor plans that you see here. Both the ground floor and the second floor are identical. One of the windows is located in a restroom, and then in the flex space area are the other 2 windows. So with that, you can approve the application as submitted, approve it with conditions, or deny the application. And if you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer.
Thank you, Charlotte. Any questions for staff?
Is there any drawings in there for the existing house in comparison to this?
I do not have that. All I have are photos.
There's the back of Eccentricities on the left side.
Do we know the difference in height and massing and all that? I mean, that's why we asked for it, so we can see the difference. And detailing too.
And is there a,
Yeah, I mean, I see the house, but we don't know how big the new structure is. It has to be, it should be smaller than, than the structure itself.
Is that, I mean, I suspect that my recollection of the UDO is that it just needs to be an
I mean, when I say
accessory.
smaller, it shouldn't be, I mean, if we're asking to be 3 feet from property line, it should be taller than the structure. That's all I have.
from the street, the last one, Charlotte, the one over, I don't even think you're gonna see the house, the proposed structure behind it.
I've been in there, and I'm sure the main floor has 9-foot ceilings. And I've been in the office upstairs and probably 8, but I'll say 9. So just the space in between, what's that at? I'd say that's probably 20 feet tall, 22 feet tall. But that doesn't give you concrete.
No, I mean, that's why we ask
it.
for, whenever we ask
Right.
for, a structure that's gonna be within 10 feet of the new structure. So we have that so we can see detailing and massive footage. I mean, the detailing is quite a bit different than the main structure. Very different, in fact.
I feel like it's 9 feet. I feel like I could jump up and like tap it. I can't do that.
Oh, yeah, it's a small, it's an old, it's old.
Yeah.
I know we don't still, but I get it's behind it, so it's covered, but it shouldn't really overpower that, and I don't know if 20.
Does
Should we
you
let-
speak about the new structure speaking to the existing structure at all?
Not really.
It doesn't.
'Cause these two are very foreign. The windows, I mean, the siding, the roof.
Maybe we could hear from
Completely
the,
different building.
from the applicant
Yeah, would
about
the
the
applicant
intention
like
behind
to
the
come
project.
up and speak? I don't think we have, does anybody have any questions for Charlotte for staff?
That's on it.
Okay. Ainsley, would you mind coming up? Thank you.
So the magic buttons are,
Okay.
So I guess the
Yeah, I mean,
question
my
Tim was
question
getting
is-
at was the thought behind the design style versus the
Okay.
existing main
I
structure.
can get to those photos. Oh, they're in front. Okay.
all right.
The eccentricities building.
Do you need, I don't have those.
Where's the one that was the front of the, oh, the back's fine. Here it is. So, and I think Charlotte would be in agreement.
With this,
That building would have never passed, Dave. I didn't really try to match it. Now, if we go to, let's see if we can go to the back again.
Looks like an old beach
Photo of
house.
the back. I don't know why.
Because this is not the PowerPoint,
Oh,
so
gotcha.
that's why we're in an attachment to the agenda.
That building you're seeing is the back of Jacob's Pottery Building.
so,
And then go to, there. If you all want, we could change the horizontal siding to a hardy board and batten, like the upper section of the eccentricities.
So just for discussion, the carriage house section says, characteristics, it's a detached or accessory structure. An attached structure must be clearly incidental to, smaller than, and distinguished from the primary building form. But it doesn't really go into a lot other than that. Same general character as the primary structure. But I think
That's the same character.
here it's a, 70s, 80s kind of home in Bluffton.
Right, but I mean, there's nothing that, I mean, there could just be simple material changes that at least relate to it a little bit, like you said, board and batten. I mean, it's the windows.
I can't
the
match
roof,
those
All that
windows.
stuff is complete opposite of this house. So it's like
Right.
another building on that site.
But
that's
to match the
I'd
eggs
say
and
match,
Shrews,
but I mean,
Yeah.
you know, there
Yeah.
could be some
There's
thought where.
there's a balance. I think the UDO takes precedent where we want it to look historical, which is what you're doing, which is great. And then there's also the relating back to the existing structure, like you suggested, maybe we do board and batten on the second floor,
Something to break.
something to
we could
make
do
them.
board and batten. I would prefer to do it actually on both stories.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, my point is we're having two primary buildings on this, if they're completely opposite on a site, and one is.
We're not introducing a new material though with the lap siding, because there's lap siding on that little addition there. So there's already the lap siding. I mean, I would have attacked this, attacked this structure in the same way.
It's completely new building.
I would have attacked this the same way as kind of a little jewel box thing sitting behind this. I mean, it's smaller than that building's kind of a big square. It's about the same height, but the roof has more pitch to it, which needs to, no matter what, because that roof is so flat on the existing house and,
Yeah, I'm not saying it needs to match the house. I think it has to have some relationship at some point. And I think there's ways of doing it, even if it's materials. I just don't want to have two existing houses that are, you know, similar in scale and height and completely two different. And one is an accessory structure that's 3 feet from the property line, and they're using it as an accessory structure to get away with that.
yeah.
That's my point. I mean, I think it looks great. It's just foreign to where it's behind.
What would you suggest?
I mean,
as
it's in
something
context
to
with,
make it?
Anything, I
a
mean.
lap, it's in context with a lap siding structure right next to it on the potting studio and also the lap siding on the little addition behind the
I mean, I
building.
see board and batten and stuff on the base.
They're not adding lap siding to that site. Commissioner Frazier, do you have thoughts?
It's
You
just,
had to move down and away.
yeah,
Screen's not working.
way down here. So I know that's what the UDO says, but I can drive all over Bluffton and find numerous examples, especially homes that are facing the river, where their back house, the back guest house or outhouses don't match the primary building at all. So I would argue, what is actually happening in Bluffton versus the UDO?
It's more of an
Because the
existential
UDO,
question.
I sometimes think was a template from some other town that they just used again. And there are nuances to Bluffton that the UDO is not going, doesn't address very well. And one of them is that there is a lot of hodgepodge going on in old historic structures in the context of the yard. So I just think this is going to be one of them. And it's hard to play homage to a building that was probably built in the, I don't know, 1960s. And it's okay, it's eccentric to have something a little different. I would totally get it if I had to pay homage to that building that is what used to be Paul Pinckney's house, Paul and Lucille, I think that was theirs. Mm-hmm. He probably just slapped some materials together from, I don't know where.
So, question. I get the back. I do like the idea of finding some resemblance of what's up there. This is not a contributing resource. This house could be torn down. So you don't want to go totally opposite of it. But
Right.
you also know if you were to be called back in to rebuild something here, then it's going to have to match the building you're building.
Right.
So my layman's thought is to keep some kind of board and batten. Do you
Do
have
that.
to have shutters? You know, I know if you have some, you gotta have them all, but what does the code play into that? I think you're gonna be close to the height. I know that building, I can't prove it and I can't guarantee it, but your height is not very tall on that one. I think it's 19 feet plus the roof line.
I agree.
That's my thought to keep it, because this building could be demolished. This is not something that's important in our history.
Right.
Other than it's a longtime residence, old Jim Walters' house probably. That's just kind of being rational about it and trying to abide by the UDO at the same time. Is my thought for this group.
Yeah. I mean, and the really the, you know, I am in support of a carriage house being a different kind of material and style, because historically, that's a lot of, you know, that carriage house was kind of a barn structure. And accessory structures usually, historically, tend to take a slightly different character than the house, especially when they're smaller scale or more agrarian. I think there's a little bit more leeway in this than it needing to necessarily have the board and batten, but
Yeah, I'm in the same camp. Are there any other strong feelings either way?
No, I agree. I mean, this is completely, it's a unique situation.
Okay, then let's go to the two determinations real quick. One of them was the windows on the east and north side. Thank you, Ansley. Which I'm personally fine with. Do I have strong feelings?
Okay.
So the question was the scale of them? Yeah, with how small they are. If there were any issues with that?
Personally, I just think it looks funny on the side of the building because you have this big space here and then the windows are all kind of hodgepodge together. Is there a way to space them out or add another window to make it look?
Hi, y'all. I'm Elizabeth. Charlotte, can you go to the floor plan? Part of what's.
And I did see that one of the windows
what's
is in the bathroom.
Yeah, dictating this is
And I,
the restroom
right.
and the grab bar. So I've got to keep that windowsill a little higher and I've got to keep it a little smaller to make that grab bar work. Then I just centered the other window and then took the same spacing to make it symmetrical. So that's, but as far as the size of the window, I would almost, it's really hard behind the office because you've got a stack washer and dryer, because there's a potential a salon could come in. And then, so you've got that and the restroom, and then I've got a kitchenette. So it's really hard to place to match the other window sizes on that side, unless I just do it in a flex space and then just not have a window in the restroom or near the coffee bar area.
Well, we did this with restrooms before, like the toilet could be on the other side of the wall. I think if you space those out and moved them over like 2 feet each, it does appear to be a little more balanced. I mean, you could put the toilet where the sink is, I mean, that stuff I think you can rearrange.
I'll have to check because there are certain clearances you have to have around plumbing fixtures for the handicap codes.
That's true. That's a big restroom.
They've gotten very large. And then people put furniture in them. But
how's everybody else feel about?
I'm personally okay with that side elevation. I mean, I get the restraints, and it's a side elevation on a neighboring property that it's not prominent, it's a little quirky, which we determined is very Bluffton, which is fine with me. I think the determination was really about the size of it, the proportions.
Overall proportions
Yeah,
of that
the
elevation.
proportions. Which, they're small, but I mean, I'm okay with it.
I agree with, and Tim and I disagreed at HPRC, but I kind of felt like that side, usually when we see different kind of takes on proportion in Bluffton, it's also coming with some disorganization, and this felt very organized and thoughtful. And the little bit of eccentricity to the proportions I thought was kind of in keeping with Bluffton's eccentricities.
So I was okay with it. Any other thoughts?
Not gonna fall on the sword over it.
Okay. The other determination that we need to talk about is the PVC trim, which I'm okay with from a professional standpoint. PVC is something that a lot of people are moving to for trim because it holds up well. It looks fine, especially if it's up that high. I mean, we're doing it for handrails and on porches or brackets, things like that, where it makes a lot of sense. PVC is not really what you think of in the form of like 90s PVC piping, so I'm personally okay with that. But if someone feels strongly about it otherwise,
I hope we go towards this new sustainable type of material some point in our world to change all this, so you don't have to keep asking us.
yeah, good.
But I'm fine with it.
Okay. Any other questions for the applicant? Thank you, Ansley. Then we would like to make a motion that will include the conditions. I don't think we had any conditions. Well, okay, then I'll go ahead and make.
Board and batten.
Oh, no, I mean, does anybody feel super? I'm not.
It says in the UDO that it should have general characteristics of the building. I just feel like this has no characteristics of that
I
building at all.
agree a little bit with that.
I mean, it has nothing. It's complete opposite. And it
I
says
agree
in the
with this.
UDO, must be same general character as the primary structure. And that's clearly is today, and it has nothing. I mean, metal roof is there, I mean, everything is completely different. I think there could be something to give it a little bit of resemblance to the primary structure.
Sounds like you're teed up to make a motion then. Would you like to?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll make a motion.
Sure.
I'll try, you can amend it.
Go ahead.
I move we agree with the staff recommendation on this section to include board and batten features on the carriage home instead of what was presented, that a site feature permit will be given to staff, that commission is satisfied with the PVC as an appropriate material, and we are fine with the window proportions of the rear east elevation.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Good, the motion is passed.
I do have one quick question.
Yes.
I'm going to try to mimic the board variance pattern. It's on the eccentricity, but can I use hardy products instead of, because that's probably wood that's on.
That's fine.
So does that need to be amended?
I don't, Hardy is
Board and batten is,
Similar?
Acceptable material.
material,
Okay.
yeah.
I'm sure he'll paint the same color, because he loves that color. That kind of bone color.
Okay, yeah, motion stands. That's fine. All right. Thank you. Okay, Historic District Monthly Update.
Alrighty, so the site features this past month have mostly been new signs. We have a replacement fence that was approved on Lawrence Street, and also a manufactured home is doing some exterior remodeling, and that's it. And I do want to follow up too with training opportunities. Staff sent out an email. The National Association of Preservation Commissioners has an opportunity for you to view a webinar. And if you recall, there is a requirement that you have 3 hours of training yearly, and that's required by our certified local government requirement. So if you haven't done your training yet, today is the first day of the new year to do that. And we do keep track of that, and we will remind you if it looks like you're not meeting that requirement. So, and that is all I have.
Okay. Any questions?
I do have a question, because normally they send us emails when those classes are coming up. Would that be the case as well? Just
Yes.
send those? Okay.
Yeah, the webinar is coming up, and I don't recall what day, but you should have received an email this week
Oh,
letting you
okay.
know.
I'll go back and look at
We
it.
have can all join in.
I must have missed it.
It was this afternoon.
It was today? Oh, then I most definitely haven't. seen
it'll
it.
be on
I've been
the-
running all
yeah.
day today.
I do have a question, Charlotte. When is our year end and begin? Like, when do I, like, I just got on here, I did that training. Am I done and now I got a new training?
So, correct, yes. Today is the beginning of a new year.
Today starts, so, okay. I have,
They start
well,
for,
I sure don't want to do what I did.
Back to
Yeah.
That was
zero.
horribly boring.
for your annual hours, your term starts when you start, correct?
Yes, it does, and you are fine.
Yeah.
That's what
Right
I'm
now.
saying.
Yeah, yeah,
So do I have to, now is my year start today? But I'm a year from when I started. My term started, so I have a year to, I've already done it, so I'm good for a year?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Good.
Yeah, I wrote it all down, so I know who is not good right now.
Okay.
Okay, but I'm good.
She'll get in touch with you. All right, thank you. Okay, I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Oh, sorry.
There's a second too. Is there any discussion of that motion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? No. Meeting is adjourned.